people.
Die ding rukkie. Eerste rivier.
Our station, our talent, our people.
Die ding rukkie. Eerste rivier.
Our station, our talent, our people.
Okay.
Die ding rukkie.
Hello. Welcome back. Let me just deal with a question that came through. Ek wil net met 'n vraag. Welkom terug aan almal ons luisteraars, mense wat inluister, mense wat inskakel met ons. Ons is lewendig op die lyn. Ek gaan hier is 'n vraag wat deurgekom het van Swellendam. Sê commissioner, jammer dat ek pla. Verneem net die volgende: mag 'n werkgewer van die werknemer se salaris aftrek sonder sy toestemming en dat daar nie ooreengekom is tot 'n bedrag nie. Mag 'n werkgewer 'n werknemer se salaris terughou omrede die werknemer 'n complaint gelodge het by Department of Labour? And that's a very good question. It's two questions. Number one, may the employer make certain deductions, and those deductions are without permission, without authorization. Hierdie aftrekkings word dan gedoen. Laat ek dit vir die rekord vir u sê. Geen aftrekkings kan van u salaris, veral van u salaris, volgens die basiese dienswetvoorwaardes, section 34, geen gelde kan van u afgetrek word, tensy daar is 'n ooreenkoms en u het geteken daarvoor vir daai aftrekking om plaas te vind. Indien 'n werkgewer daai geld aftrek en jy het nie geteken nie, onmiddellik approach die CCMA. Gaan na die CCMA toe en jy kan 'n klag doen onder wat hulle noem section 73A complaint. If you lodge your complaint under section 73A, which is the dispute for outstanding money, because remember, it's your salary. Your salary is now being withheld. For whatever reason the employer have made those deductions, the employer must still investigate. If you did something wrong, was there damages? Why is the deduction being made? Was there maybe a mistake in the auditing, in the finances? Only in the event if there was some overpayment made in 1 week and you've noticed it, and the employer now needs to be refunded with that, you won't have a problem to pay the money back, of course, unless you were somebody else that received 14 million in their bank account and tried to run away maybe with the money. But other than that, you would want to give the money back to the employer because you are still in this continuous employment relationship. So deductions has to be authorized. Both parties has to agree that the deductions must occur. The second part of the question deals with, kan 'n werkgewer 'n werknemer se salaris weerhou? Veral as die persoon na die departement van arbeid toe gegaan het om 'n klag in te lê. Die antwoord is, kyk, 'n werkgewer kan dit doen. Onthou wat ek gesê het. 'n Werkgewer kan dit doen, maar die vraag is dit fair teenoor die werknemer om hom sy salaris te weerhou, net omdat hy nou na die departement van arbeid gegaan het. Ek weet nie of baie van u bewus is nie. As jy 'n klein besigheid het, as jy 'n werkgewersorganisasie is, as jy 'n unie is, as jy 'n advieskantoor is, as jy net 'n gewone persoon is wat net advies nodig het. Ek weet nie of u weet nie, maar die basiese dienswetvoorwaardes maak voorsiening dat indien jy probeer om van jou regte te doen, byvoorbeeld 'n klag te gaan indien by die departement van arbeid of by die CCMA, en die werkgewer summons jou vir 'n dissiplinêre verhoor of punish officieel, sal ek sê, verdui, omdat jy na jou regte gaan kyk het nou na, dat dit vorm ook 'n deel van diskriminasie, dat jou regte word beskerm deur die basiese dienswet voorwaardes om ook klagtes te lê. So dis jou reg. Die werkgewer kan dit doen, maar dit gaan unfair wees. Dit gaan onbillik wees van 'n werkgewer om gelde, salarisse, kom ons sê dit, it is totally and grossly unfair to withhold salaries of anybody in this country. If you have worked, because remember what you say in the beginning, you provide your service, employer must remunerate you for that. If you've provided your service and the employer withhold the payment of your services, that is an act of unfairness. That's grossly unfair. Because how would you survive? You need to pay debts. You need to pay your debit orders. That is unfair. So employer, you then have the right, if the employer withhold your salary or refuse to pay you your salary, you then go to the CCMA. You approach the CCMA, as I say, by two ways. You either go into the office. I would more or less suggest that you do the online platform, because the office of the CCMA can get a little bit crowded in Cape Town. And you don't want to sit there the whole morning, go from chair to chair, just for somebody to give you a form. For that form, you can download from the internet, or you can submit your complaint online without hassles. Without hassles, in the space of your own time, your own place, submit an online application to the CCMA, and you should be able to get a case number, a date for your hearing. Within a week's time, you should receive that information via SMS or an email if you have provided an email address for the CCMA. So it's very important to provide accurate information and detailed information, that when you do get an SMS, then it is verified that you've submitted the correct information. But can we take a break there quickly? Thank you.
Mr. Feet,
Our station, our talent, our people.
Tidang Rugby.
It's a song for all my Cape Place brothers and sisters. Here we go. My broers staan op uw kenro. Vijay, you kennis alle roe. Nou staan jou mam en ananara. Van jy pa belova. Jy's klaar met jou dange, my broer. So trek op je stokjes en los die jongens. O my broer die jara, I roep vir jou. Op je stokjes en open mijn skovies. O my broer die jara, I roep vir jou. My sister, jy loop in die pad van die jou pyjamas. Vijay nie jy's a dame. Jy sê dat jy maak hier een man. Het jy die jare vertel die van hy sal jou uitsoort. Bloemen. Trek op je stokjes en los die klompies. O my sister die jare, I roep vir jou. Trek op je stokjes en hou van beskovies. O my sister die jare, I roep vir jou. Staan op, 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 staan op. Trek op je stokjes en los die chommies. O my broer, my sister, I roep vir jou. Trek op je stokjes en hoop om beskovies. O my sister, my broer, I roep vir jou. I roep vir jou. Staan op, staan op, staan op, staan op, staan op, my sister, my broeder, staan op, staan op, staan op.
RD Media House, one connection. Do you have branding frustration? We can assist you. RD Media House can design your website, your logo, and any marketing needs. For your promotional needs, please contact us at 064 536 9095. RD Media House, the branding specialist behind your business. Contact us today. Don't delay. 064 536 9095.
Eerste rivier,
Our station, our talent, our people.
die ding rukkie.
Welcome back to all of you. Welcome back, Radio Eerste River. Welcome back to this program on a Wednesday afternoon. I'm Commissioner Samuels from the CCMA, and I want to send out, I'm going to read out a query that we received on Monday, but prior to that, I would like to send out a shout out to some friends out there listening and watching us via all the social media platforms. All those students from Elsie's River High, 1986-87 team. Thank you for tuning in with us, all my ex-school scholars. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for keeping the faith alive out there. We did some amazing work. And just for the record, for those who may not know, I mean, 1987, there was only three children at that school in 1987 that got an A symbol in mathematics. And we know how hard it was those years to get an A. Okay, the two of them, one went to England, one studied at UCT, I think, and the other guy, I'm not going to tell you who his name is, but he's sitting here in the radio station. So that's the the three people that got A symbols in mathematics during those years, in matric, by the way. So that would have been done. So like Mr. Grant Cruiser, who is now currently in the UK, thank you for tuning in with us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the support that you've given. Amazing employees, amazing staff and colleagues at the CCMA. The head of this province, our Senior Commissioner, Provincial Senior Commissioner, Vusi Landu. He's currently in the Eastern Cape at the moment, Southern Cape actually, in George area. He's the head of the province, Senior Commissioner Landu. So under his leadership, thank you to all my colleagues at the CCMA in Cape Town for all their hard work. So getting back into the question, on Monday, we received a query. And this is the question. I'm going to read it out exactly as I received it. For the Constitutional Court, the employer you must summon the employee to a disciplinary inquiry. Obviously, the goal is to try and resolve the matter. Because remember what I always say, nobody wants to go through a disciplinary inquiry. And especially this employee, caught with cocaine in the pocket, and it was a woman, was caught with cocaine in the pocket, and when the employer confronted her with it, she admitted it was hers. Now, admitting it was hers, when she used it, how she used it during the workplace, that is a story for another day. To use the substance during the working hours, or to have it on you during the working hours as well. Either way, the cocaine is illegal. I agree with the employer. If SAPS would come in, the police services would come in immediately. It's an immediate withdrawal to jail cells. You get taken away, they lock you up, but this employer felt the need that they wanted to report the matter, but at the same time do not want to deal with the employment or the labor issue. So they wanted to do it something legally with less paperwork, less informal process, but still get away in case this employee runs to the CCMA. Even, remember, if you have been found with an illegal substance on you, it doesn't automatically mean that an employer can just bypass labor law. They don't. Even if you are an illegal immigrant in South Africa, it doesn't automatically mean, because if you are illegal, you don't have your proper paperwork, you don't have a passport, you don't have asylum seeker papers, you don't have from the Department of Home Affairs a work seeker permit to be in South Africa legally. It doesn't automatically mean you should be subjected to unfair labor practices in this country. And many employers, you know what, they employ the foreigners. when they ill-treat the foreigners, do not pay them, refuse to give them their rights, and then a foreigner comes complain at the CCMA, we then have a hearing. It's only, strangely, it's only then and there that we suddenly hear from this breakthrough and amazing revelation the employer gets that this person is illegally here. It's like as if he never knew this person was illegally in South Africa, but he would still continue to employ. Now, a lot of chaos happened on the farms a couple of years with illegal immigrants, but that's a story for another day, because if you employ people that are not legally in South Africa, it doesn't exonerate you for not paying the minimum wages, for not ensuring there's a contract of employment. You must still comply with labor law, because the only thing that the labor law looks at, the labor law don't ask, is the person legally here? Labor law don't ask any of that. The labor law, Labor Relations Act, Basic Conditions of Employment Act, Employment Equity Act, Skills Development Act, all these acts, Unemployment Insurance Act, only thing that they ask, is this person an employee? That's all. That's all. And if you are categorized under the definition of a worker, an employee, you are covered and protected by the labor law. So let us close up this program when we ended off last week with a question. We went into the types of evidences that you need to bring at a disciplinary hearing. So let's end of our last bit of a program on that, and after this break. Thank you.
Eerste rivier,
Our station, our talent, our people.
die ding rukkie.
No
Eerste rivier.
Our station, our talent, our people.
Die ding rukkie.
Welcome back to all of you. Thank you very much for tuning in on a Wednesday afternoon between 3 and 5. Just before we had this ESCOM load shedding. With me, 3 and 5, Labour Talks, Commissioner Samuels, and with me in the studio today, I've got Mr. Jayo behind the technical. Thank you, Mr. Jayo, for helping me, playing some nice music out there. I trust that all of you listening, watching, are not just enjoying the talk show as well, and the questions that are being posed, but that you enjoy the music as well. It's always difficult to put genres together for a show like this. You can either have it too serious or can't have it not too serious as well. But in the beginning of the show, I told you about a Labour Court judgment. And on the 19th of January this year, 2023, judgment was issued by the Cape Town Labour Court. The matter of Sorel versus Petroplan Sub-Sahara Africa. And the issue that the courts had to decide on, does South Africa or does the Labour Court have jurisdiction to deal with Mr. Sorel's matter? Now, Mr. Mark Sorel, he was employed by Petroplan, PSSA, Petroplan Sub-Sahara Africa, PSSA. He was employed in 2021. In fact, he was given a contract, a fixed-term contract, but also apart from being given a fixed-term contract, he was also put on what they called an independent contractor. And he also signed some other forms of agreements. He was employed since January, and in June of 2021, after lockdown happened, COVID-19 happened, the employer terminated that relationship in 2021. That's about 6 months later. But during the period, Mr. Sorel was waiting on his passport because there was delays, and and when COVID also came out of globally, it affected all these applications. And Mr. Sorel, he's from Greyton, here in Cape Town. He's from Greyton, so he had to wait in Greyton after having signed all these contracts with PSSA. He signed the contracts, it was enforceable. He waited to be moved, but the contract said that he would work in Mozambique. And now awaiting the outcome of his visas, applications to go to Mozambique, he sits at home in Greyton. And during that period, in June 2021, the company decided to terminate the relationship. After having terminated the relationship, Mr. Sorel was not happy with that outcome there. He then took it to the Labour Court, and then he claimed that he was unfairly treated. But the issues the court had to deal with, the first thing was, do the Labour Court have jurisdiction? Because although the employee was situated now in South Africa, the courts had to decide where the dispute arose, where his employment would have been. That is where the dispute arose. And if they determine that the workplace for this purpose is now in Mozambique, then the Labour Court don't have jurisdiction. Then that court will have the jurisdiction. And in January 2023, the Labour Court issued a judgment. And this is what the judgment spoke about. It talks about a territorial judgment. And it said that the place of employment, it's not where the employer conducts its business, which determines the place of employment. The location of the actual workplace where the employee renders services. And in this case, although Mr. Sorel was now here in Greyton, Cape Town, his employment services that he would have been provided was supposed to be in Mozambique. And because of that, the Labour Court lacks the jurisdiction, and they threw out his case. Now, I'm mentioning these things to all of you listeners, all of you watching us, so that you can get an understanding that when people are either losing their matters at the courts or at the CCMA because there's a lack of jurisdiction, then you need to understand where the dispute arose is very important, because you get a lot of people that work on the sea. And when they come and they open a complaint, there's 2 boxes or 3 boxes on one part of the form that you tick off. Where did the dispute arose? If you say it arose in Mozambique, then obviously South Africa will not have jurisdiction. If where the dispute arose will determine also now where the matter will be set down. If you say, but I am working at a call center in Cape Town, the head office is in Johannesburg, your place of employment is in Cape Town. Don't put the head office down in Johannesburg. you must put on your form down that you work in Cape Town because that's your place of work. You went to work every day. You answered the phone. You on your laptop. You had the headphones on. You're working in the call center in Cape Town. So that is where your dispute arose. Very important because I've seen when one employee have ticked off that she worked in Glen-Williams town. So for the CCMA with evidences. We talked about different types of evidence. Take a break there.
Yes,
Our station, our talent, our people. Station, our talent, our people.
Tidang Raki.
Submissions are now open
For all types of South African music to be playlisted on Radio Yesterday.
the likes of
Gospel.
trap en hip-hop.
Dan wat gaat zij maken? Wat? Protest met boms in die straat? Hoeveel zout wat aan die kaap? Hoeveel? Mijn enigste vraag is: wat zij bereikt? O zit die genoeg hier als zij het die volle? Wat zij bereikt?
Dance hall and reggae tunes.
Yes, to the feet. Kapstad. That Luxem strong represent for the August. That's why I'm back here.
R&B and soul.
I still smell you, yes I do.
And of course, bomb and house music.
We don't mind the language.
We don't mind the
Genre.
So send us an email now to info@radioeasterriver.co.za.
Title your email.
Playlist me.
Yes, to the feet.
Our station, our talent, our people.
Welcome back to all of you. Thank you very much for tuning in. And I need to say this. The vision of this program was to bring the services closer to the people. That's the vision, and that's the goal, and that's the mission here, is to bring the services closer to the people. But this program means nothing without you, our listeners, our viewers on all the social media platforms. So we would love to hear from you. We would want your input. The contents of this program, I can come up every week with labor law contents and everything, but the purpose is not to bore you or just to give you some labor law cases. But although I want to empower you, yes, remember what I said, that I don't know about this or that will no longer be in our vocabulary. So we would love to hear from you. Please send us a voice note. Please send us an email, ccma@radioeasterriver.co.za. You make up the content. I can prepare topics and topics and topics. And every week, even while I'm talking and I'm presenting something and I'm discussing something like this week, we are talking about how to prepare for disciplinary inquiries. What is my role? What is the employer's role through a disciplinary inquiry? It is your experiences that will help us put more content to the program. So please share your experience. Maybe you had a positive experience, negative experience. How can we draw from those experiences? Because we're not getting younger. We're getting older, but the good thing is we're getting wiser as well and more informative as well. So the more informative we get, the more well-versed we get with what our rights are, the more we can share with our community, with people that are not able to get to this platform or to get to the CCMA to ask for advice. The CCMA runs various what they call campaigns out in the communities, whether it is pamphlets. We also go to the Department of Labor in Somerset once a month, and we sit on the front desk and we deal with complaints there. So we make many attempts to bring the services closer to the communities. So part of this week, we're dealing with the end of this specific topic, because we might pick up this topic in a week or two. If your stories will meet those requirements to make those topics back on the air again, we will definitely revisit the same topics that we will have to bring here. We're looking at oral evidence, real evidence, direct evidence as well, circumstantial evidence, what they are, opinion evidence, where a person just give their own opinion about something, character evidence, similar fact evidence as well, where there are similar facts, privileged communication. Those could be emails, and sometimes when you work in the service industry, you are also always not aware of complaints that come to you or for you or against you. Sometimes an employer will just say, there was a complaint against you. And you need to know who the person is that complained against you. You may want to see the contents of that complaint so that you can prepare the appropriate response to that complaint that is being brought against you. So there are similar facts to admissions and confessions. What does it mean when the chairperson asks you in the beginning of a disciplinary inquiry, do you admit to the charges? What does it mean if you say guilty or not guilty? What does it mean afterwards if you come to the CCMA? Although you have admitted guilt at the disciplinary inquiry, employer now holds that against you and say, but Commissioner, he or she already admitted guilt, so why are we sitting here? What if the person had a change of mind, a change of heart, come to the CCMA and say, yes, I may have admitted guilt there, but I believe that I was unfairly dismissed because my employer did not look at this and that. What does it mean? Documentary evidence. What documents? The important thing that I will say about documentary evidence is that every document that you take as part of your evidence to a disciplinary inquiry, even for employers, if you are listening out there, you're in the HR department and you're the one that's bringing the charges against your employees, or you're in a small business, please make sure that you bring relevant documents to a disciplinary inquiry. Don't just bring any document. Anybody can print documents from the internet nowadays, but bring relevant documents that are relevant to the offense that was committed. If you're charging me for speeding, bring the telematics report to the discipline. Show me where I have gone over the law. Show me which rule I transgressed. So there's audio, there's video evidences. Audio evidences could be a WhatsApp messages. Make sure that you save that on a USB. Bring it along. Don't just play your WhatsApp messages from the phone. It's very careful that you keep saving them on one device. Especially remember, you are out there to fight for your future. You're out there to prove that you did not commit the offense. So the best thing for you to do, save all those messages. Every video that you have, save it, put it away, get somebody's laptop, save it on their laptop, transfer it to a USB so that when you do go into a hearing or an arbitration, then you can at least say, here's my evidence. Let's take a break there before we conclude.
When night has fallen, when fear is coming, still you're calling me. When faith is lost and my hope exhausted, you will be my strength. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. Yeah, I've decided I'm not giving up, 'cause you won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go now. I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul. In every season, you keep repeating promises to me. Whoa, now there's no stopping what you have started until it is complete. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. Yeah, I decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. No, I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my when my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me.
Our station, our talent, our
Right on. Thank you very much to employees or people. Thank you very much to employees or people with court cases. Instead, we refer them to the labor court. Let me say this. The CCMA is a statutory body. We are independent and we make decisions that should be unbiased. We cannot be seen to be fraternizing even with one party particular. If a CCMA commissioner makes a decision, he or she makes a decision in the form of an award or a ruling that is being issued. Now, if an employee who was not happy with that ruling or that award, he or she will then go to the labor court. Now, we cannot assist employees because, as I said, we are a statutory body created by law that has to be independent from both employer and employee. The CCMA give advice, guidance to both to get to a resolution of their matters. So it's our role not to be seen with just one party. We have to be with both parties. The labor court are the people that are now have to listen to your matter, whether the commissioner has made a mistake in his decision, whether the decision the commissioner has made, whether that could be a decision that a reasonable decision maker could not have made, or the commission. There's a code. Remember, there's a code of conduct for commissioners, which has been signed in law, meaning that our conduct, my conduct here today, are being scrutinized. And if I act inappropriate, say anything that's inappropriate that may make listeners or people watching this feel that I am only leaning towards one side of the social justice scale, either towards an employer or towards an employee, then my role are being scrutinized through that code of conduct. You can then take any decision that a commissioner makes up for review as well. There's another question that came out. Thank you very much, Mr. Tebogo. Thank you. Mr. Tebogo still want to ask, may I ask, when employers talk about family responsibility according to the CCMA and labor, who is family? Please elaborate on this because workers are being fired for this issue. Mr. Tebogo, thank you very much. Now what I have with me, if you can see, I can only speak out of law, and this is the basic conditions of Employment Act. When the law talks about definitions right in the beginning, it outlines who is family and what they would then talk about what would be considered as part of family. Now, the sad part, you've asked a very good question, and sadly, there's the law, there's the BCAA. It doesn't even define what family is. It starts as employment law, then it goes on as farm workers. So you will now have to go to an extended definition of family, and for that you will have to go to other laws. So maybe next week I will bring you that answer about what in terms of law is now considered under the umbrella, who is family. Because when the law talks about the BCAA sets out family responsibility leave, I can understand where a lot of frustrations could come in, or feelings of that the employer is not complying with law, because the family responsibility leave under the BCA is very specific for who are covered or for which people in your life you can either take leave. It's what they call family responsibility leave. It talks about when your child is sick, when something happens with your parents, for instance. So I agree with you. It's a definition, family. We need to explore it. I will come back next week with a proper answer for you in who is covered under the umbrella of family. But very good. You make the content of this program, and these are the kind of issues that we would love to hear so that we can unpack. Remember, I said, if I don't know an answer, I'm not going to pass the buck to somebody else. I'm going to find it out, because it means I don't know the answer today. So I will go find out so that I am aware what that answer is, so that I can give you the feedback what the answer would be. Who is covered by agree? If you feel an employer is ill-treating you because of family, because of that, then it's your right to go to the CCMA and lodge a complaint for victimization, discrimination, or harassment, or bullying even. It's all forms under the Employment Equity Act under discrimination. You can lodge a complaint at the CCMA even. Come if you're unsure of what is happening. But any unfairness in terms of the employment equity, the CCMA have jurisdiction to deal with it. If you feel that your employer is ill-treating you, is not giving you your family responsibility leave, it's your right to complain. So I urge you, complain. Thank you very much for that question. So let's close off this week's program. The different types of evidence we've dealt with now. We've the only two issues that was outstanding now on my list to speak to you about is polygraph test and breathalyzers. Now I think last week I touched on it a little bit. Even yesterday in the office, you won't believe it, after all these years, me and my colleague were still debating about the polygraph test and what the courts have said. When is it allowed? When is it not allowed? Because why? An employer, listen to this strangely, an employer have dismissed an employee when the employee have agreed to undergo a polygraph, but when the day the polygraph was supposed to happen, the employee never appeared for the polygraph test. So he was charged for that also, that refusal to undergo a polygraph when agreed to do so. Dismissed. Guess what the court said about that? That the dismissal in that case was too harsh. Next week, we will unpack that case for you next week. I think that's a very good case to start off our next week program. Thank you very much for all of you tuning in, listening. Please share this information. Share the links on your social media platforms so that we can get this labor talks out to as many people possible that are unable to come to the CCMA to ask for advice. They can drop us an email, ccma@radioeersteriver.co.za. From me, Commissioner Samuels and Mr. J.O. here in the studio, thank you very much for tuning in with us this week, and I'll catch you next week on Labor Talks.
Yes,
Our station, our talent, our people.
Tidang Raki.
You give me that joy like a river. You give me that mercy I never deserved. You give me that love, nothing better. You give me that sweet peace like ever before. There's nobody like God, like God. I'm talking about my God, my God. There's nobody like God, like God. I'm talking about my God, my God. Oh, you give me that joy. You give me that joy like a river. You give me that mercy I never deserved. You give me that love, nothing better. You give me that sweet peace like ever before. There's nobody like God, like God. I'm talking about my God, my God. There's nobody like God, like God. I'm talking about my God, my God. Praise the Lord, everybody. The Lord, He heard my cry. Check it